I know this may seem like recency bias, but I just really love this movie. One battle after another has been getting one rave review after another, and I'm here to rank all 10 of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. PTA, as we like to call him, is a guy who's probably shaped every movie lover's film watching journey. There are many reasons why he's one of my favorite filmmakers. The experience of watching one of his movies is really unpredictable. You could be going into a 2-minute scene or a 45-minute scene between a few characters. He utilizes his cast so well. The characters are always larger than life. And best of all, it feels like the stories in his films expand beyond the screen. Like there's an entire world within his movies, and we're only experiencing a sliver of that world within the story of the movie. There are so many ways you could order this list because he has so many amazing movies. This is based on personal preference, and so that's why there may be some places where you definitely disagree or hopefully strongly agree. Anyway, let me know after you finish watching my list where you may be beg to differ, and I would love to continue the conversation in the comments below. Number 10 for me is Hard 8. This is his first ever movie, and I watched it not too long ago, and while there are parts that are enjoyable, I also felt like it dragged in many parts. That said, Philip Baker Hall is really good here, who Paul Thomas Anderson utilized a lot throughout his films in some really great ways. For an hour and 40-minute movie, it feels really long. There are some really great scenes here, especially the parts with more violence, but overall I felt like it was a worse version of similar movies that I've seen. Number 9 is Inherent Vice. This is the only other one that I just am not too enthusiastic about. Again, I think all of his movies are good, but this is kind of the one that just left me like with a question mark because first of all, a lot of the dialogue in this movie is pretty hard to understand. I don't know if it's just me, but the way it was spoken. That said, it's shot really beautifully, and I would love to like try and revisit it to just understand it better. And it has a lot of that like unpredictability from moment to moment. Joaquin Phoenix is really fun here. He gives a really great performance in the lead role, and the cast is pretty big. You got Josh Brolin, Catherine Waterston. Again, it's beautifully filmed and put together, but from a story perspective, this is also one that's kind of scattershot in my opinion, but I would love to give it another chance in the future. Number 8 is Punch Drunk Love. So now we just jumped from movies that I think are pretty good to movies that I absolutely love, and that's the rest of this list pretty much. This is one of my favorite Adam Sandler performances and movies, and it's also one that has really rewatchable scenes, in particular the phone call between him and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Adam Sandler plays a charming character who's kind of a loser, but you root for him to like find his confidence, and the love story is done in like kind of a larger than life way. Number 7 is Boogie Nights. Now I know this might come as a shocker for many that it's so low, and I know many people might even have this at number 1. I really like Boogie Nights, don't get me wrong. It's also one that feels a little slow to me, but I also think it embraces some of the best things that PTA has to offer. Again, the world sort of having such a large scale, the unpredictability, you know, which characters are going to go down what path, the ensemble cast. Mark Wahlberg is not only great, you got Burt Reynolds, Julianne Moore, John C. Reilly. There really isn't a good reason as to why Boogie Nights is so low. I just think personally I like the others a little bit more, but it is such an influential movie. It's kind of the movie that made PTA huge, and then, you know, step it up for the rest of his movies. And for many, it's still sort of like the one to beat for his career. And I understand that. I still think it's an excellent movie. I just, personal preference, put the others a little higher. Number 6 is The Master. This is one that I don't think I'll rewatch anytime soon, just because it really does take its time, but it is a brilliant movie. Joaquin Phoenix here is amazing. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I mean, he was always so huge in his films, but this is one of the movies that proves why he's one of the best as this religious cult leader with such huge ambitions. The cinematography is stunning here. Number 5 is Licorice Pizza, one of his newer films, and the movie that's kind of sweet, but also just really funny and wonderfully made. It's definitely, I would call it a hangout movie, because even though the characters have ambitions and goals they're pursuing, a lot of the time you're just going through these situations with them. Alana Haim giving an amazing breakout performance, and I love the scene where like her whole family is there. So many great scenes like that. I mean, Bradley Cooper's appearance, the Sean Penn motorcycle scene just sums up everything I love about Paul Thomas Anderson. You could just pick any scene scene, and it's an unforgettable film. Number 4 is Phantom Thread. This is one that I had to think about a lot before putting it this high, but when I started making this list, it was just a no-brainer. Like, where is Phantom Thread on the top 5? This movie really grew on me. Like, I remember seeing it in theaters and liking it a lot, but I was like, okay, what did that mean? What did that mean? And the more I thought back at it, the more just like transformative it is. As a romance, it's also very high stakes, but like the costume design, the production design, the score by Johnny Greenwood, this is a sweeping movie in aesthetic while being so intimate in character and writing and dynamics. Daniel Day-Lewis, I know he's out of retirement now, but had this been his final performance, it's such a good performance. Like, again, the way he and Vicky Krieps sort of argue and their love is sort of tested about the smallest things, and the ending is something that I still think back at as one of Paul Thomas Anderson's most profound scenes. And if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It stands out in the best way among his filmography. Number 3 is There Will Be Blood. Again, I know a lot of people have this at number 1, and I had to think about it before being okay with this, but it is the placement that's like true to me. I understand if many of you wanted this to be higher, but again, this is personal preference. This is a movie that has one of the best performances of all time in Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview, but also shout out to Paul Dano in a really stunning dual role here. Again, one that has just incredible cinematography, that won Best Cinematography, by the way, and a riveting ending that's, you know, not only unforgettable, but quoted all the time. It's a movie about, you know, again, sweeping ambitions and massive ego that ends up destroying this man's sanity, and just everything around him sort of collapsing without him even always realizing it. And I completely agree with it being considered one of the quintessential films of the 2000s. Number 2 is One Battle After Another. I know this may seem like recency bias, but I just really love this movie. I think Paul Thomas Anderson really challenged himself here and elevated everything that's already great about his style while not trying to make anything about it more comfortable or accessible or mainstream. I think it's naturally accessible to wide audiences because of DiCaprio and because there's violence. I don't want to call it action because I don't really see this as an action movie, but I really think it's one of the most spectacular movies of the last 10 years, maybe more. If we talk about the cast here, Leo is fantastic, but Sean Penn gives a performance that's so villainous that I could see it being ranked as one of the greatest villains of, you know, cinema history. Benicio del Toro is a much nicer character, but he's still lovable. Teyana Taylor making such an impression. Chase Infinity, what a breakout performance. This to me is less about the you know, scenes that stick out or the dialogue quips, even though they're all out of this world here, but it's the effect that all of them create when they come together. The whole is even bigger than the sum of its parts here because of PTA's vision, the themes that really resonate, that are relevant to right now. No one's really growing into a hero here. Everyone is kind of just doing either worse or less bad things, but I think that adds to how mature this movie really is. Which means that number 1 is Magnolia, one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a 3-hour epic that flies by, that focuses on so many different stories and characters, and they converge in really, really unique ways. Everyone really stands out here. Tom Cruise, Julianne Moore, Philip Baker Hall, we mentioned him, is really great here. John C. Reilly, William H. Macy. I could go on and on about how great everyone is in this film. It's not always straightforward, but it is always loud and magnificent. Like I said, one of the best things is that you feel like there's more going on than in just the screen, because he creates this world that has so many different corners, that has so much going on for each character beyond just where the film begins and where it ends. And it's really fun putting the pieces together, but also not always fun because the movie packs a lot of emotional heft. I didn't shout out Philip Seymour Hoffman, but also has a wonderful part here. There are some lessons in the film, but also some people who just remain awful and selfish to each other. 1999 is considered such a legendary year for cinema. I mean, you could have a list of your favorite movies and a third of them could be from 1999 alone, but I think Magnolia might be, in my opinion, the best film to have come out that year. So that's my PTA ranking. Let me know where we agree or disagree. I know there were some shockers there, and obviously my list is subject to change. My opinions are not set in stone, but this is genuinely, this is definitely where my ranking lies in the moment. Maybe One Battle After Another will go significantly down, but I doubt it just because of how special of an experience I had watching that film. Let me know what you thought of that new movie and where your ranking differs or is similar to mine. And I would love to continue the conversation in the comments. And as always, stay tuned for more here on the channel.